All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning to you. It is Thursday, December 17th, 2020. This morning, we're going to talk about the dangers of a surface level life. The dangers of a surface level life. Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right, guys, what's happening? Good morning to you. Thank you, as always, for being here bright and early with me. Today, this topic is one that kind of came up at dinner last night, actually. I had a couple people at my house for dinner, and we were talking about just how most people in the world, they don't function outside of a surface level relationship with so many things. And, we were talking about the importance of not living like that and the rewards of not living like that. And so I wanted to dig into this topic this morning. So I want to say good morning to some folks. What's happening, Carla? Good morning to you. David Martin, Tammy Clark, Chris Filippelli, Weldon Whitehurst. Good morning, man. Hope you are feeling better, brother. And Jared Bird, good morning to you, man. And thank you to everyone for all of you guys who donated yesterday. Man, we raised over $2,000 for selling virtual truffles. And Lisa and I did a live video yesterday. My friend Lisa, a truffle to share, a reason to care. So literally between noon yesterday and when I woke up this morning, I want to say it was $2,250 we raised. That's a lot of virtual truffles. So those truffles are going to go to the kids here at the Mars Home for Youth. The people who aren't in the Pittsburgh area and can't come pick them up at Lisa's restaurant. But man, just so grateful, man, that we have a community of people, of good-hearted people that are, willing to support good causes like that. It's amazing, man. I just can't thank you guys enough. Thank you guys for everybody that took the time to donate and spent their hard-earned money to support such a great mission, getting shoes for these kids around the world. Lisa was telling me yesterday that there are kids around the world that, when she found this mission, the reason is that these kids walk around with no shoes and their feet obviously get damaged. They get cuts and things on their feet, and then they get infections that go in through their feet, and they actually die from not having any shoes. So what you guys did yesterday to support this makes a huge difference. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for supporting that. Lisa and her husband, Glenn, are such amazing people. They own 2 restaurants here locally. You can imagine what it's like being a restaurant owner this year, and they just continue to give and pour into the community and be just amazing, amazing people. I can't say enough about them. So thank you for supporting them. All right. So the dangers of a surface level life. The analogy that I used last night at dinner that kind of sparked this conversation, and I've used this before, some of you may have heard it, but I say that, a lot of people, they live their life like fish food. They just like to float on the top, right? Because it's real comfortable up there. When you're in the water, if you've ever been in the ocean or in a swimming pool, you dive down underneath, man. There's a lot of pressure underneath the water. And so it's a lot easier. It's a lot more comfortable to live on the surface level, to have surface level conversations, to never embrace conflict, to never lean into those things that are really uncomfortable to do, but have massive benefit on the backside. The things that I have learned over the last few years by going through more adversity than, I was used to in my life. As you try to grow, there's a massive amount of resistance that comes with that. And as you have bigger goals, you will have more resistance and more adversity and bigger challenges. And what I have learned by being willing to get off the surface and get deep down in the water where the pressure is heavy, is that we are all conditioned to be able to withstand any amount of pressure. As you go deeper into the water, there are less people down there. There are less competitors. There are less people that are willing to withstand the pressure to get what they want. One of my mentors told me a while back that, when adversity hits, when you feel that pressure, you should get excited, because it means that most people are going to quit. Most people are going to turn back. They don't like being uncomfortable. And so they're going to turn back, and the pack gets thin, right? The competition gets thin. There's not as many people. That road, that tough road that people are willing to walk, if you are willing to walk that road, if you are willing to do the difficult things that 99% of other people aren't willing to do, you will become part of the 1%. That's just a fact. It is not crazy intelligence. It's not crazy talent. It's not the things that you think create success. The things that create success, the things that make your life full, are doing the things that other people aren't willing to do. And I say this all the time, but doing those things that you don't want to do. There are lots of things that I do that I go into thinking, man, this is not going to be very fun, or man, this is going to be uncomfortable. Man, I really don't want to do this. But I know I've conditioned myself that I know I need to lean into that, because that's where the magic is. That's where the gold lies. It lies in those uncomfortable situations. Those are the times of growth. That's where you find a different and better version of yourself, by standing in the fire, being willing to stand there and get forged in that fire. And so if you live a surface level life, if you're not willing to go down in the water, you ever wonder, you ever think about what happens to the fish food that's on the top? When you do nothing but float on the top of the water, you will get eaten just like the fish food does. Where do the fish go to easily grab the food? Think about it. Very easy. That food just sitting there waiting to be eaten. And I'm telling you guys, when you are living a surface level life, you are no different. You are sitting up there with everybody else, waiting to get swallowed up, waiting to get swallowed up by a pandemic, by a recession, by the news telling you something is wrong, by anything negative can get you when you live a surface level life. When you are used to living under the water where the pressure is, those things don't bother you. I was, talking the other day about this year, the year 2020 in review, the Pavement Group podcast. We did a 2020 in review. And, we talked after that podcast was over. And one of the things that we discussed was, we were talking about kind of how we did this year on the podcast. We kind of held back a little bit. We didn't want to make other people feel that may not have had a good year, like we were taking some kind of victory lap. But the reality is that we had a really incredible year. And why did we not want to say that? Well, because we're used to functioning with a bunch of people who live on the surface. They get upset sometimes of other people doing well. But the reality is that is not living in our truth. That is in some way living a surface level life. So that was a lesson to us. We discussed it yesterday, Todd and I, in a conversation. So when you live a surface level life, you're not willing to take that pressure. And that's exactly what happened during that conversation. That's an example of it. We talked about some of it, but we watered it way down because we didn't want to offend anybody. And the reality is that the people who would be offended would probably be offended anyway. But those people that need some fire in them to know that they can win during a time like this, that it is optional to participate in a recession. It is optional to participate in the craziness and nonsense of everything that's thrown at us as a result of this pandemic. It's all optional. And the way that you condition yourself to live through these things very comfortably is by not ever letting yourself live on the surface. And let me tell you something, guys. The easiest way to not live on the surface is to surround yourself with people that aren't surface level people. So this conversation from this morning was triggered from a conversation we were having at dinner. Chris Filippelli, who's on this stream, was at my house last night. Jay Duran and Jay's fiance and my family. And man, what an incredible conversation we were having. And several times during that conversation, I just said, man, I appreciate having these types of conversations, that not surface level. That's where this whole conversation came from, is that, you know, I said, man, more people need to participate in these types of conversations. I started Top Contractor Inner Circle so that we could have more of those deep conversations. Because here's what I find you have when you live on the surface. Here's what I find that you have. You lack real relationships in your life. Think about if you know anybody, or maybe this is you. If you know anybody that kind of functions like this, they have no real relationships in their life. They might have friends, they might have a bunch of people around them, but they don't have real relationships. They don't have people that would do anything for them, that would sacrifice anything just because, expecting nothing in return. That's what you get when you live on the surface. You don't fully understand anything or anyone because you're living on the surface. You don't take the time to ask people about themselves. You are more focused. This came up at dinner last night too. You are more focused on being interesting than you are on being interested. The way that you gain relationships and get off the surface in your relationships and in your life is to be interested in other people, genuinely wanting to know about those people around you. What makes them tick? What motivates them? What makes them sad? What gets them down, man? Wouldn't you like to know what gets your friends down? Wouldn't you like to know so you could be there for them? Do you actually know? So no real relationships in their life. You don't fully understand anything or anyone. They have a massive lack of fulfillment. This usually, lack of fulfillment is the sickness. The symptom that you're going to see is very irritable people, very surface level people. They replace fulfillment with everything bad, material things, alcohol, drugs, sex, anything they can find to make themselves feel that momentary fulfillment, that momentary release from reality, because they're missing something, because they're living on the surface for most of their life or all of their life. And the reason that people do this is very simple. They don't like to feel the pressure. Some people can't look at themselves in the mirror because they've never gone to work on themselves. And listen, maybe that's you. At one point in my life, it was tough for me, to look at myself in the mirror and really see the person that was there, really accept the imperfections that I had. And it wasn't until I was able to do that, till I was completely 100% honest with myself and accepted the fact that no matter how imperfect I am, man, God loves me no matter what. And somebody on this earth is going to love me too. Because at that time in my life, I was a single guy, was by most people's definition successful. But on the inside, I didn't feel that way. I felt like, man, there was something more. I was working for people, didn't have my own company or my own vision. And that was a burning thing that I always had inside of me. I didn't have the family that I wanted. I didn't have anything. I was living on the surface with, most of the world. And one day I just decided that wasn't going to be me anymore. And I started to try and seek out those people that I thought weren't living on the surface either. And how do I become more like them? Well, I spend time with them. I ask them questions. I'm interested in how they live, what their routines are, how they function. What do they do? What time do they wake up? What's their week look like? How do they set goals? What does it look like? And I quickly found myself surrounded by people that were not surface level people, that were honest, that would tell you the truth, even when it hurts. And man, do I have a ton of those people today. And, I can't stress enough to you guys the importance of finding those people. I mean, when I say, I'm sitting there trying to think, like I'm just looking at the list here of people watching, and then there's 3, 4, 5 times more than that I interact with on a regular basis, that I know for sure would tell me the truth, that I know for sure would be there no matter what. And the same is true vice versa, right? I would be there for these people no matter what, man. That it is the greatest joy of my life to have these relationships and to be interested in every one of their lives, to get to know them, to get to know their families, to get to know what makes them tick. And, it's funny, I haven't sent this email out yet, but I was typing up an email to the Top Contractor Inner Circle group just yesterday. And I really believe, when I look at that list of people and I look at what they stand for, their values, who they are as a person, I believe that will be the greatest movement of contractors that has ever existed in this industry. And the way that happens is by everybody else in that group starting to believe the same thing. So I want you to compare that to your own life and look at that belief starts with you. It starts with you believing whatever it is that you need to believe, and then that wearing off on everybody around you. One of the other things that we talked about last night was, not everybody's going to believe in what your crazy ideas are. For years in my life, I think people thought I was nuts. I would talk about these ideas of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to accomplish and how I was going to do it. And I shared this with everybody at the dinner table last night. There was years, man, that I felt all by myself. And the reason that I created Top Contractor School, the reason that I have these groups, I don't ever want anybody to have that feeling, man. I don't ever, ever, ever want anybody to feel alone on this journey or feel crazy the way that I didn't know. I thought there was nobody else out there like me. And then I ran into, some of these groups. The Arte Syndicate is one of them. And I started to realize there's a lot of people like me. There's a lot of people. And you got to tap into those people. They might not live next door to you, but they are out there and they're right here. They're on this stream. They're on social media. Some of them are your customers. Some of them are friends. Maybe they don't live in the same city as you. It doesn't matter. You can still share the same energy. You can still have deep conversations that are not surface level conversations with people that you rarely see in person. But when you do, man, it's incredible. So I encourage you to think about this as you go into this. This is the end of the year, man. We start to plan for next year. If you don't have these things in place, man, it's just harder than it needs to be. And so the right people surrounding you, I can't even tell you, man, like the people that I get to coach, I get to mentor, I get to interact with. What those people do for me is incredible, right? So, in some cases, I'm the mentor. I question whether I'm getting more value than they are because the relationship is so great. It's much more than just helping somebody with their business. It's like having an extended family. And that is the gift of what not living on the surface is like. And by the way, when you see people who are out there living on the surface or they're out there, moving around and trying to cause issues in places, right? Don't endorse that stuff, man. You got to stand up and you got to say the truth. You can't allow those people to exist around you if that's not what you stand for. If that's what you stand for, hey, God bless you, right? I pray for you. I wish the best for you. But if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so when it comes to surface level, that's one of the indicators, is if you're not willing to stand up for something, you're living a surface level life. Stand for something. People will respect that about you, and you will start to attract people that are just like you. They will come by the dozens. And I'm telling you from my own personal experience, and many of you are on this stream, I can't even tell you the gift that it is to my life to have those dozens of people that are just incredible human beings that would do anything for anybody, that would drop everything that they're doing and put other people first all the time. And when you get that, man, there is a feeling of being like literally being unstoppable. Like I can look in this camera and tell you there is nothing going to stop me and everybody around me from getting where we are trying to go. And the reason for that is there is strength and there is safety in numbers. And when you are aligned with values, with vision, and you are on a similar or same mission, man, it's hard to stop a pack of powerful people that all believe, that are all motivated, that are all doing it for the right things, that are all giving back. Think about that. Don't let yourself live a surface level life, guys. This life is short, man. I've been on this earth for 41 years. I feel like it started yesterday. And man, we got a lot to accomplish, and you cannot do it by living your days on the surface. I hope this message found you guys on a day where you needed it. You know, it is a great reminder for me that the further down you get and the more that pressure is, there are so many gifts down there. So I hope that this is a good reminder for some. I hope that it's an inspiration for others. And I hope you guys have an awesome Thursday, and I will see you again tomorrow morning. We got a gift for you tomorrow morning on Morning Perspective. My man, Ryan Austin. You want to talk about a dude that's a gift to people? Wait till you hear this guy's story. Trust me when I tell you, you do not want to miss this conversation. Man, culture is something that is huge to me. It was major parts of our conversation at dinner last night. And tomorrow morning, when you see Ryan Austin, buddy, you're going to see somebody with culture dripping all over him, right? He got it dripping off his ball cap, dripping off all the equipment in his company. There's so much culture in that company, you won't be able to believe it. And you will hear it for yourself tomorrow morning, 7:30 a.m., same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Love you guys. Thanks for being here.